Bartsong Tavern.
Inspired by the legends of adventurers from a forgotten arcade age, there are creatures the world was never meant to tame. Beasts born in forgotten labyrinths where light dies and only rage survives. Some claim they were once warriors twisted by dark gods. Others say they were bred for slaughter by forgotten kings who desired executioners rather than soldiers. Whatever truth remains has long since been buried beneath bones and stone. But among all their kind, one name survived the arenas of the Moon Sea, the Red Minotaur. Joining today's spectacle? Excellent. The gates are about to open. Captured in iron chains and dragged to Hillsfar as little more than a living execution, the Minotaur was thrown into the arena to die screaming beneath the cheers of the crowd. But seasons passed, challengers fell, and still the beast refused to break. Soon the arena sought his death instead of spectacle. Torchlit sands and roaring crowds welcomed slaughter night after night. Drunken merchants screamed wages across packed stone rows, while commoners, who lost their fortunes, all too often became part of the spectacle themselves. Dwarven hornblowers announced fresh contenders, with booming blasts that rolled through the amphitheater like distant war drums. Tonight's spectacles had already begun. Terrified halfling runners scrambled across the arena, clutching strips of raw meat, while massive bloodhounds chased at their heels through roaring laughter from the crowd. The dices had been cast long before they entered the arena, and fate rarely showed mercy to those upon the sands. Elsewhere, a giant scorpion the size of a wagon clashed against exhausted elven gladiators, while purple-skinned drow nobles watched from shaded balconies, smiling coldly whenever the creature's venomous tail struck flesh. And still more horrors waited below. Behind rusted iron portcullises, handlers drove burning spears toward a chained chimera as the beast thrashed wildly against its restraints, destined before night's end to tear through a group of condemned prisoners upon the bloodstained sands. But none of those spectacles drew louder cheers than the final attraction of the evening, the Red Minotaur. Ah, you made it. Best seats in the arena, if you ask me. Many came to watch the monsters fight. Few noticed the greater monster seated above them. From his crimson throne, Malthair ruled Hillsfar with coin, magic, and terror, while the arena served as the beating heart of his authority. Standing beside him was his loyal enforcer, the masked figure known only as the Innovator of Pain. The Innovator of Pain cared little for victory or defeat. His duty was to ensure the gladiators continued to perform for the crowds. Beneath the arena, he oversaw a regime of exhaustion, fear, and relentless punishment, breaking countless warriors over the years. The Red Minotaur was one of the very few he never managed to break. Tonight, the sands would decide what years of cruelty could not. His massive frame towered above the blood-stained sands, every scar across his body telling the story of another battle survived. Crimson markings adorned his horns, while dried blood darkened the leather wrapped around his enormous hands. In his grip rested Red Ruin, the enchanted great axe feared across the fighting pits of Hillsfar. Few warriors survived a direct strike from its enchanted blade. The crowd roared for blood. Some demanded slaughter, others spectacle, but few cared about the difference. To them, the Red Minotaur was not a warrior fighting for freedom. He was entertainment, Malthair announced.
You are nothing but an animal, and like all animals, you will be broken, or you will die.
The crowd answered with savage applause. Then the gates opposite the arena groaned open. A foul stench rolled across the sands before the creature itself appeared, carrying the reek of rotten flesh, wet fur, and decay. The troll stood nearly 10 feet tall, its diseased green flesh covered in twitching growths and unnatural warts. 4 massive arms hung from its swollen torso, each moving with disturbing independence as claws scraped across the blood-stained ground. But it was the heads that truly unsettled the crowd. 4 twisted faces snarled and argued atop the creature's shoulders, As the monster lumbered forward, even the noise of the arena began to fade. This was not a contest. It was an execution. From which dungeon did they drag this thing out? I can smell it from here. They faced one another beneath the torchlit sky of Hillsfar. Then the troll moved first. A powerful arm seized the Red Minotaur and hurled him across the arena. The monster was upon him instantly. A clawed foot smashed into his face before a crushing stomp struck his chest. The Minotaur grabbed the troll's foot and sank his teeth into a diseased toe. The creature shrieked and recoiled, just long enough for the Minotaur to regain his footing. What followed was a brutal exchange of steel and flesh. Axe met claw until Red Ruin finally tore a massive wound across the troll's chest. The blow should have killed it. Instead, the wound closed before his eyes. Face to face with the monster, the smell of rot and decay nearly overwhelmed him. Then he noticed something. The troll avoided the fire. With every ounce of strength remaining, the Minotaur slipped beneath the troll's grasp and drove it toward the flames. The troll tried to pull away, but the Minotaur drove it deeper into the flames and refused to let go. There would be no regeneration, no escape, no second chance, only fire. When the flames settled, only ash, blood, and blackened scraps of flesh remained.
Enough. Against all odds you survive. I shall grant you your freedom. Be gone.
The Red Minotaur lifted his gaze, his breath ragged. He did not bow, nor did he give thanks. He simply turned and walked away from the bloodstained sands. Let us remember this night, when a legend finally walked free. That very night, he vanished beyond the city walls. Some claim he walked the ruins of Ulash, where ancient shadows still linger between broken towers. He wandered north through the Moonsea lands before crossing the scorching sands of Anarok. Along the way, bands of gnolls mistook the lone traveler for easy prey and attacked him, only to be cut down beneath the desert sun. Caravan masters spoke of finding strange tracks beside abandoned camps, while survivors told of a red-furred giant emerging from a sandstorm just as death seemed certain. Beyond that, the stories become uncertain. Many believe he simply kept walking, putting more and more distance between himself and the arena that had tried so many times to kill him. Beneath the silver light of Faerûn, the Red Minotaur once stood beside still waters, staring into the reflection of a warrior finally unchained. Then, he turned away and vanished once more into the wilds of Faerûn. His fate remains unknown, but somewhere beyond the roads of Faerûn, beneath distant stars and forgotten ruins, the Red Minotaur still walks. And wherever his hooves fall, legends follow. But for some adventurers, the journey never truly ends.